This is part 6 of chapter number 4, Magnetic Effects of Current of class 12th. In part 5, we have discussed the CBSE board questions from 2005 to 2012. In this part, we'll be discussing the questions which have come in CBSE board from 2013 to 2020. So, exercise number 1 was part 5. Now, this is exercise number 2. Let's start with the first question, which is question number 20th, which has come in 2013. A wire AB is carrying a steady current of 12 ampere and is lying on the table. Let's draw a straight wire AB, which is carrying a current of 12 ampere. Another wire CD carrying a wire of 5 ampere is held directly above AB. So there is another wire CD which is directly above this AB at a height of 1 millimeter. And it is carrying a current of 5 ampere. Find the mass per unit length of the wire CD so that it remains suspended at its position when it is left free. So when it is left free, it should remain at its position. So the net force on it should be equal to 0. We know that the weight of this CD wire acts in the downward direction, which is equal to mg. So there should be some force which is balancing the weight in the upward direction. And what is that force? That is the magnetic force. We know that the magnetic force will be in upward direction when the current in CD is opposite to that of AB. That is, the 5 ampere current is flowing from D to C, opposite to 12 ampere. Okay, then only the force will be in the upward direction. Two parallel current carrying wires, if the current is in the opposite direction, the force is repulsive. So the force will be in the upward direction only when the current is from D to C. Okay, now in order that it remains balanced, so the weight should be equal to the magnetic force. We know that weight is given by mg, and the magnetic force between these two wires is given by mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi r into the length of the wire. Now here you have to find out the mass per unit length, that is m upon L. So from this equation, m by L will be equal to mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi r into G. Now substituting the values, mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to the power minus 7. I1 is the current in AB wire, which is 12 ampere. I2 is the current in the CD wire, which is 5 ampere, upon 2 pi. R is the distance between the two wires, which is given as 1 millimeter, equals to 10 raised to the power minus 3 meter into G, which can be taken equal to 10. So on simplifying it, we get the answer to be 1.2 into 10 raised to the power minus 3. Okay, as we are finding out mass per unit length, so the unit will be kg per meter. Okay, also you have to give the direction of the current flowing in the CD wire. Okay, so the force between these two should be repulsive. That is, the force will be in the upward direction on CD, which is only possible when the current is flowing opposite to that in the AB wire. Question number 21. A cyclotron's oscillator frequency is 10 megahertz. What should be the operating magnetic field for accelerating protons? The radius of the disc is given as 60 centimeter, and also you have to find out the kinetic energy of the proton beam. We know that the cyclotron frequency is given by QB upon 2 pi m. From here, we can find out the magnetic field. So the magnetic field is equal to 2 pi m into the frequency upon the charge of the proton. Now substituting the values, mass of the proton given over here is 1.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 27 kgs, and the cyclotron frequency is 10 megahertz. So in order to convert in hertz, 10 into 10 raised to the power 6 hertz. Q is 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb, as it is the proton. So on simplifying it, we get the answer to be 0.655 Tesla. So the operating magnetic field is 0.655 Tesla. Now here also you have to find out the kinetic energy. Okay, but the kinetic energy has to be determined in mega electron volts. Kinetic energy of the charged particle is given by Q square B square R square upon 2m. So substituting the values, as it is the proton, so Q is 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. B, the magnetic field is 0.655 Tesla, and the radius of the disc is given as 60 centimeter. So 60 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 meter. Okay, as it is square of all these Q square B square R square upon twice the mass of the proton, and the mass of the proton is 1.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 27 kg. Okay, so on simplifying it, we'll get the answer in Joule, but in the question it is asked that to find out the answer in mega electron volt. Okay, 1 mega electron volt is 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 13 joule. So this joule, when you convert it in mega electron volt, you will divide it by 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 13. So you'll get the answer in mega electron volt. So on dividing by 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 13, we'll convert it into mega electron volt, and the answer is 7.142 mega electron volt. Question number 22 is, what can be the cause of helical motion of a charged particle? Whenever the charged particle enters at an angle theta with the magnetic field, then it describes a helical path. That is, the particle will be moving in circular motion, that is in the circular path, as well moving forward, because V can be resolved in two components. Along V, the component of the velocity is V cos theta, and perpendicular to it is V sin theta. Due to V cos theta, it will be moving forward, and due to V sin theta component, it will be moving along the circular path. So it's moving in a circular path as well moving forward. So such a motion, we call it as the helical motion. So the charged particle should enter with a velocity making some angle theta with the magnetic field, where theta should not be equal to 0 degree, or it should not be equal to 90 degree. Neither it should be equal to 0 degree or it should be equal to 90 degree. So between 0 to 90, it will describe as helical path. Question number 23 is, state the principle of cyclotron. This we have already studied in the theory part. Show that the time period of revolution of the particles is independent of their speed. Okay, so in the theory part, we have already found out the expression for the time period, and the time period of the charged particle is given by 2 pi m upon qb. So from this expression, we see that it is independent of the speed of the charged particle. So as the time period is given by 2 pi m upon qb, so it is not depending upon the speed. Next is, what is the property necessary for the operation of a cyclotron? Okay, the property which is necessary is the frequency of the AC source should match with the frequency of the charged particle. That is, whenever the charged particle comes out of the disc, that is in the gap of the disc, the polarities of the disc changes. So this property is very, very necessary for the operation of a cyclotron. Question number 24. Find the condition under which the charged particles move with different speeds in the presence of electric and magnetic field vectors can be used to select the charged particles at a particular speed. Okay, we know that the charged particle moving in crossed field, that is E and B vectors, electric and the magnetic field vectors, both are perpendicular, and the charged particle should enter perpendicular to these two fields. That is V, E and B. All three should be mutually perpendicular to each other. Then only the charged particle will go undeflected. That is, it will not experience any force due to the electric and the magnetic fields. That is only possible when the electrostatic force, which is QE, should be equal to magnetic Lorentz force, which is QVB. So hence, the speed of the charged particle is the ratio of the electric to the magnetic field. Okay, then this electric and the magnetic field vectors are said to be the velocity selectors. Question number 25. A proton and an electron traveling along parallel paths enter a region of uniform magnetic field acting perpendicular to their paths. Which of them will move in a circular path with higher frequency? We know that the cyclotron frequency of the charged particle is given by QB upon 2 pi m. Now here one is proton and the other is electron. Both are having the same charge. Both are entering in the same magnetic field. So the frequency is inversely proportional to the mass. As mass of the electron is less than the mass of proton, so the frequency of electron will be greater than that of proton. Question number 26 is, a proton is accelerated through a potential difference V subjected to a uniform magnetic field acting normal to the velocity of the proton. If the potential difference is doubled, how will the radius of the circular path described by the proton in the magnetic field change? We know that whenever a charged particle enters perpendicular to the magnetic field, it describes a circular path and its radius is given by mv upon qv. Now here we have to determine this radius in terms of potential difference. So in order to do that, we know that mass into velocity is the momentum, and momentum is related to kinetic energy by P is equal to under root 2m into kinetic energy upon Q into V. Also this kinetic energy can be expressed in electron volt. So 2m here in place of E, Q will come Q into capital V. Okay, we know that kinetic energy is equal to EV. Here E is equal to Q. So the kinetic energy is equal to Q into the potential difference upon Q into V. So this can be written as under root 2m V upon under root Q into V. Okay, now given in the question that if the potential difference is doubled, so radius is directly proportional to under root V. Now when the potential difference is doubled, let the radius is r dash. So r dash will be under root 2V. Dividing these two, so we get r dash upon r is equal to under root 2. Hence r dash is equal to root 2 times r. That is, now the radius will become root 2 times the previous radius. Question number 27. When a charge q is moving in electric and magnetic fields which are perpendicular to the velocity v of the particle, write the expression of v in terms of E and B. Okay, so q is moving in perpendicular fields, electric and magnetic field. So the electric field will exert a force on the charged particle, which is QE, and it will be equal to the magnetic Lorentz force, which is QVB sine theta. Here theta is 90 degree. Why? Because the charged particle is entering perpendicular to the magnetic field. Hence the speed will be equal to the ratio of the electric to the magnetic field, that is V is equal to E upon V. Question number 28, first part. Derive with the help of a diagram the expression for the magnetic field inside a long solenoid having n number of turns per unit length carrying a current I. This we have already derived in the theory part, which is equal to mu naught n into I, where this n is the number of turns per unit length. The second part is, how is toroid different from that of solenoid? solenoid acts like a bar magnet. Okay, this is the current carrying solenoid. The magnetic field lines of a solenoid are similar to that of bar magnet. One end of the solenoid will act like a south pole and the other end will act like a north pole. Looking from this face, if the current is in the clockwise direction, this end will become the south pole. And looking from the other face, the current will be in anti-clockwise direction and the other end will become the north pole. Now the magnetic field lines are from north to south outside, and inside they will be traveling from south to north. So it is exactly same like the bar magnet. The magnetic field lines are similar to that of the bar magnet. Whereas in case of a toroid, the magnetic field lines are circular inside the core of the toroid. These are the magnetic field lines. Okay, so in case of a solenoid, the magnetic field lines are similar to that of a bar magnet, whereas for a toroid, these are shaped like this. Question number 29. From the following figure, calculate the resultant magnetic force and the torque acting on the loop. So first let's find out the force acting on the loop. So there is a square loop ABCD which is near a current carrying wire. Okay, so this arm, DA arm, which is closer to the 1 ampere current carrying wire, that will experience some force as the current is in the same direction. So the force experienced will be attractive. So first let's find out the force on DA arm. So the force on DA arm, let it is F1. We know that the force between two long wires is equal to mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi R1 into the length of the loop. Okay, so the length of the loop is as given over here, it is 5 centimeters. So BC or DA is also equal to 5 centimeter. So length is 5 centimeter, I1 is 1 ampere, I2 is the current flowing in this DA arm, which is 0.2 ampere, and R1 is the distance between the current carrying wire and this arm DA. Okay, so here R1 is 10 centimeter. Let's substitute the values. Mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to the power minus 7. I1 is the current in the long wire, 1 ampere. I2 is the current in the loop, which is 0.2 ampere upon 2 pi. The distance is 10 centimeter. R1 is 10 centimeter. So 10 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 is 10 raised to the power minus 1 meter. And the length of the wire is 5 centimeter, which is 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2. So this much Newton will be the force experienced on this arm DA. Now let's find out the force experienced on BC arm. Okay, now in the BC arm, the current is in the opposite direction to 1 ampere. So the force between these two will be repulsive. Okay, so this force is attractive. F1 is attractive. Why? Because the current in DA and 1 ampere current carrying wire both are in the same direction. Now force on BC arm, let it is F2. Formula is the same, mu naught I1 I2 upon 2 pi. Now what will be the distance? R2. R2 is the distance of 1 ampere current carrying wire from this BC arm. So this is R2, which will be equal to 10 plus 5 centimeter, that is 15 centimeter, into the length of this wire BC, which is 5 centimeter only. Mu naught here is 4 pi into 10 raised to the power minus 7. I1 is 1 ampere. I2 is 0.2 ampere upon 2 pi into the distance R2 is 15 centimeters. So 15 into 10 raised to the power minus 2 meter. Into the length of the wire is 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 2. So this much Newton. But this force is repulsive. Why? Because the current is in the opposite direction. Now the net force will be F is equal to F1 minus F2. Okay, this is the attractive force and this is the repulsive force. So it will be F1 minus F2. Okay, on simplifying it, the answer is 7 into 10 raised to the power minus 7 Newton. Okay, and this force will be attractive because the attractive force is greater than the repulsive. So the net force is as given. That is, this loop will be attracted towards the 1 ampere current carrying wire. Okay, then the next part is torque acting on this loop. Torque is 0. Torque will be equal to 0. No torque will be experienced by this current carrying loop. Question number 30th is two long straight parallel wires A and B separated by a distance D carry equal currents I flowing in the same direction. Okay, so this A and B are the current carrying wires in which the current is flowing perpendicular to this plane of the board. Find the magnetic field at a point P. So there will be some magnetic field due to this A current carrying wire and due to the B current carrying wire. Okay, and the direction of the magnetic field according to the right hand thumb rule will be in the opposite direction. So the net magnetic field will be the difference of it. So first let's find out the magnetic field at a point P due to A current carrying wire, which is equal to mu naught into I upon 2 pi into the distance, and the distance from distance of the point P from the A wire is x. So it is equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi x. Okay, the same way there will be some magnetic field at a point B due to the other current carrying wire, that is B current carrying wire, and this magnetic field at point P will be equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi into, and what will be the distance? Distance is D minus x. Okay, the distance of the point P from the B wire will be equal to D minus x. The net magnetic field at point P will be the difference of these two magnetic fields, that is the magnetic field due to the A wire minus the magnetic field due to B wire. Taking mu naught I upon 2 pi outside the bracket, and inside the bracket it would be 1 upon x minus 1 upon D minus x. Let's take the LCM. The denominator is x into D minus x, whereas the numerator will be D minus x, that is mu naught I upon 2 pi into D minus 2x upon x into D minus x is the expression of the magnetic field at the point P due to these two long current carrying wires. The second part is to draw the graph between the magnetic field and the distance x. Along x-axis, let us take the distance, and along y-axis is the magnetic field. Okay, now x is varying between 0 and D. When x is equal to 0, it will be D minus 0 upon D minus D, that is somewhat approaching over here infinity. Now let us substitute x is equal to D by 2. So B will be equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi D minus 2D by 2, that is it is equal to 0. So the magnetic field will be equal to 0 at D by 2. When x is equal to D, D minus 2D upon here D minus D will be equal to 0. Again it will be approaching somewhere here. So the shape of the graph would be somewhat like this. Okay, so this is the shape of the graph of the magnetic field with the distance x. Question number 31 is derive the expression for torque acting on the rectangular current carrying coil of a galvanometer, and why is the magnetic field radial? This we have already discussed in the theory part. Okay, and the torque is equal to the number of turns in the coil. I is the current, A is the area of the coil, B is the magnetic field, and theta is the angle between area vector and the magnetic field. Okay, so this expression we have already derived in the theory part. And why is the magnetic field radial? Because at every position here theta will be equal to 90 degrees. Okay, whatever will be the position of the coil, theta will be always at equal to 90 degree. That is the angle between the area vector and the magnetic field will be always 90 degree. So that is why the field is made radial. The second part is an alpha particle is accelerated through a potential difference of 10 kilovolt and moves along x-axis. It enters in the region of magnetic field given as 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 3 Tesla. Acting along y-axis, find the radius of the path. Okay, so we know that the radius described by a charged particle in perpendicular magnetic field is given by mv upon qv. Okay, but here we have to bring it in terms of potential difference. We know that m into v is the momentum, and the momentum is related to the kinetic energy by under root 2m into kinetic energy. And kinetic energy can be written as electron volt. Here it would be equal to Q into the potential difference. So the expression becomes under root 2mv upon under root Q into B. Okay, on substituting the values. Okay, as the particle is alpha particle, its mass is 4 times the mass of proton. That is, it is equal to, given in the question, 6.4 into 10 raised to the power minus 27 kg. Into the potential difference is 10 kilovolt. That is 10 into 10 raised to the power 3 volts. Upon under root Q, we know that as it is the alpha particle, its charge will be double the charge of the proton. That is 2 into 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. Into the magnetic field, which is given as 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 3 Tesla. On simplifying it, we get the answer to be 10 meters. So the radius is equal to 10 meters. We have completed this chapter. Also, you have to do the NCERT exercise questions. Now, very shortly, the next chapter will be put, which is magnetism. So in order to watch that, kindly subscribe to the channel and keep watching. Thank you.